Hey guys, welcome back to my Learn to Braid with Lena videos. And today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do how to part the hair for medium knotless box braids or regular box braids. But everybody's getting knotless right now, so we're going to hop in on that. So first, we're going to start by just parting the hair in half from the middle of the forehead back to the middle of the nape of the head. So I'm going to part it in half really quick, and keep in mind that you don't have to get this part perfect. So because we're just trying to set the base for pre-parting, so it doesn't have to be perfect right now, and we don't want to spend a whole lot of time pre-parting because then it's pointless, because it's supposed to be a time-saving method, so you don't want to spend an hour on it. So I'm just going to part this in half. And this is just going to make it easier to get the head parted by splitting it into like a smaller section, especially if you have somebody with a big head. So I'm going to take this half and I'm going to just pin it off, rubber band it off really quick. Okay, so now I have my part down the middle. Like I said, it's not perfect, but I'm just trying to get my pre-part, get my base in there. So now with that half parted, I'm gonna go over to this half that I have out. And I am going to start off by finding where the, basically the top of the ear is, or where the front line ends right here. And I'm gonna part that back. And so this is and I do this first because I want this row, when I start on the front of the head, I want this row to come around evenly and straight. So that's why I'm parting this first right here, straight across there. And again, it's not perfect. I'll go back and clean it up when I get to that row. I just want to I want to get my rows in. Not each individual square, but I want to get all my rows separated. Okay, so now I have this half a portion of the back right here. Now, depending on the size of the head and the size of the brace you're doing will be how many rows you put back here. So a lot of times it's 2 rows. But everybody's sizing is different, so you just, you can switch it up to your liking. So you can make this 2 rows across the back right here, or if you want something a little bit smaller, you can part it into 3 rows. This hair on this mannequin is super silky, so it's just falling all over the place. So, or you can part, so like I said, you can part this into 2 rows, or you can part it into 3 rows. It just depends on what size braids you're doing, okay? So I have this into 3 rows, and I'm gonna fix this a little bit because I see in the camera it's not. Okay. So I'm gonna part this into 3, and you can braid it, twist it, clip it, whatever you wanna do to section it off and keep it out the way or whatever. Y'all turn that TV down a little bit. Okay, so I've made this into 3 rows. Now I'm going to go to this side, and I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side that I just did on this side. I'm going to bring this part over, and I want to make sure that it's meeting. I want to make sure that it's meeting with this part. So as you can see, it's higher, so it needs to be fixed. Okay, so now that I have that parted off and it's meeting this one coming across here, I'm going to go ahead and split this section into my 3 rows, just like I did that side over there. And I'm making sure that it meets on the other side. Now, you can just go ahead right from the jump and part it all the way across from ear to ear, and then part your 3 rows out. You don't have to split this back part in half like this if you don't want to. I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier for some people. Some people get intimidated when they're looking at all this hair, and parting just takes way too long. So we want to eliminate parting taking super long, because that can literally add an hour or 2 to your style just from parting. Okay, so I have these rows separated, and that literally goes with that. So I have 3 rows. Let me see, so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, I have 3 rows back here in the back. And you can braid it across or however you want to clip it off to stay out your way. Now, to the top. I'm gonna take one of these sections off. So now, I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna go back to my part in the middle. And I'm gonna start in the middle and I'm gonna part this around to the front. So just look at your row you have right here so you can make sure you're getting them the same size. Which I lost the whole clip on there. So look at that and make sure you're getting about the same size. And we're gonna take this part all the way around to the front. Now I have this row right here. So you want to eyeball it. Lift it up, look top and bottom to make sure you have it even going all the way around. And my part kind of dips a little bit in the back, so I'm gonna take a little bit off right there and fix it. And now I have this row right here. And like I said, you can twist it, braid it, however you want to secure it out your way. And I'm gonna twist this up so you can see the rows better. Okay, so now you can see that better. And I'll do the back rows so you can see those better too. Okay, so I just braided it down so you can see the rows better. So as you can see, I have 3 in the back, and I went around and did this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this side off, and then I'll go back and do that side. So I have this first part right here that I did. So we wanna make sure we're keeping all our rows even, which literally you can just eyeball it, or if you wanna be fancy, use your finger to measure or something, and then you can get your rows more even. Not if you wanna be fancy though, but you know, don't pull out no ruler. Okay, so I'm gonna go back up here and I'm just eyeballing it. I see how much space, and then I'm gonna go and do this row. And I'm going to make sure that I'm keeping it even all the way around, which means taking it Look up and down to make sure you have it even going around. And voila, I can braid that one off. So I don't want to spend a lot of time pre-parting like I said. So when I go back and get to each row while I'm braiding, I'll clean it up really good. I just want to get these rows in here so I can get started. Okay, that's row. Back to my middle. I'm parting this row around here. Lifting it up and down to make sure it's even around and how I like it to look. If you need to fix it, then fix it. That's a little high right there, so I'm gonna pull it up. Okay, now bring that down. And a lot of people always say they can't find a lot of detailed parting videos. Most people just get straight to the style, which I understand. This is the boring part, honestly. So nobody really wants to do this. But I said I was going to do a whole series of learn to braid videos. So really, parting is the basics. So you got to start there. Because you can braid super good, but if your parts look shitty, then the whole style just looks shitty. Okay, so now I'm at the top. And looking at this section right here, I have 2 rows. So I really just kind of want to split it in half. So I'm going back to my middle again, and I'm still parting this around into the front. And you really just want to make sure you have these 2 rows pretty even. And like I said, this parting method you can use for any size box braids or knotless. You just adjust your row sizes. Make them a little smaller, make them a little bigger, whatever size you're doing. And it really works out for it all. It's super simple. And you can have that consistency with the parting. Splitting it in half and looking at a smaller portion versus the whole head makes it easier to part it off. It's less intimidating. Okay, so those are sectioned off, and now I have my last piece up here at the top. My last piece up here at the top on this side. And I'm just going to braid that down also. Okay, so now after this one, we can go and do the other side. Oh, it's getting stuck to my fingernails I need to get down. Okay, so as you can see, I have 3 down here at the back. That lines up to the top of the ear right here. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows at the top of that side. So now I'm going to go and do this side, and I'm just going to do it the exact same way. I'm going to start right here with my rows where I started this side at, and I'm going to part this side the same exact way that I did this side. But most important thing is I don't want to leave this full part down the middle of the head. Now, if you want to, that's your preference. Do your thing. But I like to have the bricklayer stacked look. So once I part these rows out, and then I go back and start braiding down here, here, when I get to here, I might have to part a little bit over there to split that one to make a bricklayer, or go over a little bit on this side, which I'll show you quickly. So I'm just going to part this side off right quick the same way that I did this side, and show you how it all lines up. So like I said, you can go back to the middle right here, and you can part that over on that side. Make sure it's even. I'm gonna do this really quickly. And that's what I was doing. Make me pull up in that. Now my last 2 rows up here. Okay, so now I have my 5 rows parted out at the top of this side also. So that is like my basic pre-parting, how I do my knotless box braids. It works out great every time and for every size. Like I said, you just adjust the size of your rows. So now we want to make sure we're getting that bricklayer stacks on deck type of effect. So we want to go back and we're going to start with our bottom row. So this is when I go back and make sure that my rows are cleaned up really good. Now you can do this beforehand if you want to, but my pre-parting is really quick for me, and I just breeze through and get it done so I can be done. Now, if I take this bottom row and part it into 3 braids, so when I get to each row, that's when I part out my braids for each row. And I take the little clips, and then I'll just clip it off like that. So this is how I start my braiding. So boom, boom, boom. First row braided, 3 braids. Now, I always start my parting in the middle because it's just easier for you to, or easier for me to bricklayer that way. So now that I have my 3 braids at the bottom, I'm going to go to my next row. And this one is going to be 4 because I want it to be stacked. So I'm going to go to the middle. Since I have a braid in the middle on this row, I'm going to have a part in the middle on this row. So now that I have that part in the middle, I just simply need to split both sides in half. So this side might not directly line up with the braid underneath it, but I want to split this in half because I want these to be the same size. So it might be right in the middle. It might be a little bit off center, which is fine. So now I'm gonna split this side in half. split this side in half too. So this will be 2. So now my bottom row has 3 and this row has 4. Now, next row, I'm going back to the middle. Pull out this row. I'm going back to the middle to start parting. And since I have a part in the middle on this row, this next row, I want to have a braid in the middle. So I am going to put a braid in the middle on this row. And this makes your hair look fuller too because the braids are falling over the parts. So it gives an illusion of it being full because you see less spaces. So now that I have that braid in the middle, I'm going to take this one and I'm going to, this hair falling all over the place, so silky. So I have that braid in the middle. Now I'm going to split this one and I'm going to split that side too. And so I have 5 braids on this row. And the same with this side, split that one. Now, when I get to this row, I already have my part in the middle. So I'm just going to simply part out my squares on this side, do the same on that row. When I get back up to this one, I don't want this part in the middle. So I'm going to start by parting it off center because I got the part in the middle on this one. On this row, I want a braid in the middle. So I'm going to part a braid in the middle of this row and then continue to part my squares out. Part in the middle on this row. When I get to this row, I don't want to part in the middle. So I'll simply just put a braid right there, continue to braid out. So that's how I do my pre-parting and my bricklayer for Knotless box braids. Very simple. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments and let me know what other type of parting videos you guys would like to see, like parting for lemonade braids or parting for a ponytail or just creative parting also. Like I part out hearts, stars, flowers, moons, crescents, whatever. I can probably do it all. So there you go. Thanks for watching another Learn to Braid with Lena video. And I'll see you guys soon.